Hi guys. I look super dark because it's a little dark in my kitchen. Because my journey has been very up and down. So what ultimately happened is I was misdiagnosed for 8 years with my mental health. So first, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Nothing worked. By the way, when I saw a doctor, I was already going to therapy for about like 6 months. So it wasn't like I was just like, give me all the drugs. Like, it wasn't that. It was just my condition is so severe that I unfortunately need to be on medication. So I went to a psychiatrist. He diagnosed me wrong for depression and anxiety. One part he got right. I do have really, 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 really bad depression, but that's besides the point. So then I still wasn't getting better because no. He diagnosed me with just anxiety to begin with. So that wasn't working. And then he added in depression medications because he's like, this bitch is miserable. So that wasn't working. So then finally because I was going to therapy, like I said, so I was getting to know myself better, and I'm like, I don't have anxiety. Like, my anxiety is caused by my depression, because I was learning to identify my feelings and all that bullshit. So, mind you, please don't take the way that I talk any type of way. I look at everything kind of like it doesn't matter, because if I already care even when I talk like it doesn't matter. So imagine if I actually talked like it did matter, I would be sad 24/7. And again, not even again, because I never told you guys this on YouTube, but I always say this to everyone around me, and I've been saying it since high school because people get these two words confused. There's a difference between being sad and being depressed. There's a big difference, okay? First of all, depression can be caused by something, but it lasts longer than being sad. Being sad is like, well, at least for me, because I'm very sensitive, like, I'll fucking get sad if they don't have something I really want at the grocery store. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so sad, like, what the fuck? That's the difference. It's a feeling. Depression is more of a condition. It lasts longer. No amount of positive talk will get you out of it. You're just miserable for, like, let's say a month or longer, okay? So there's a very, very big difference, and people don't seem to fucking wrap their head around that. So whatever. Back to my mental health journey. So treated for anxiety, didn't work. Treated for anxiety and depression, didn't work. I identified that my anxiety was only caused by my depression. So, and my doctor this whole time was not listening to me. He was not listening to his patient. And I told him I want to go off anxiety medications because I don't have anxiety. I don't have it. And I don't know what time this was around, but I think this is when I started dating someone. And that motherfucker had anxiety. That was a motherfucker with anxiety, okay? Not me. I did not have what he had. Like, there's a fucking difference between anxiety and like an anxiety disorder and just having anxiety. Like, anything can cause anxiety. Mind you, he wanted to keep me on the meds because I was having anxiety attacks. Like, full-blown bugging the fuck out for 30 minutes, like, hyperventilating, like, blah, blah, blah. But my anxiety was not that bad to be medicated, I felt, because when you have a condition, it's a condition. like it, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but it disrupts your life. That's when you know you have like an illness, a condition, a disorder, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's how you know. It's when it messes up your regular life. Like nothing has to happen for the illness, the disease, the disorder, the condition to come on. It's just the way you are. I did not have anxiety. I would get anxiety attacks from being so depressed. Okay? So, bitch, no. The fuck? No, you can't. No, bitch. No. Yo, I swear to God, motherfuckers think, no. I hope my mom says no. Let me ask her. Another thing that is bad about me is that for the people I care about, even for people I don't care about, but just like, imagine like if I care about people I never met or just met that day for like 5 minutes. So imagine when I actually love someone, like I care a lot, okay? A whole lot. I can't speak, just go with it. So he did not want me to stop the anti-anxiety medication, so I stopped myself. I was like, this motherfucker's not listening to me, even though I was super young. I was in my 20s at this point. When I started all this, I was 19. So I'll explain all that later. But I was in my 20s, don't know. My 20s were a fucking blur. My early 20s, should I say. My early 20s was a fucking blur. I don't remember anything. But that's besides the point. So, I stopped taking my anxiety medications. I kept taking my antidepressants. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. I got like a tiny bit better. And then I would get worse again. Tiny bit better. And then I would get worse again. If any of you are in the medical field or just care about mental health issues or are educated, can you see where I'm going with this? Because my therapist, okay? My therapist is not a doctor. And she even knew what I had years before my psychologist did. But anyway, so when I would feel good, I'd be like, yay, the meds are working, love him. My psychiatrist was a man, love him, blah, blah, blah. And then when I would feel bad, it would be really bad. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So we kept going, just treating the depression for a long time. Then it came to a point, I don't remember how old I was. Well, hold on. I don't remember the year, but I remember what happened. So I remember I was working at a supermarket, my second supermarket that I was working on. I was working part-time and I was going to school to be a medical assistant. So it was around this time. I started, and this I guess is my fault, but you know, I trusted a licensed professional, so it can't be my fault. Like he was just, thank you. Drops fucking mic. I keep saying drops hat. Maybe that's my thing, drops hat. So, super scary. I didn't think it was scary because when you're in your own world, you don't really see how bad things are. And mind you, this whole entire time, I did not talk to my mom, did not talk to any of my friends. The only person I trusted, did not talk to, I don't think I even talked to my boyfriend at the time about it. The only person who knew was my psychiatrist and my therapist, because I would tell my therapist everything because that's what she's there for. So I started hearing things. It wasn't like anything bad. It was just like my name being called. So I would be like, yes, what? Or like, whatever, right? And everyone at work is like, what do you, like, who are you talking to? And I was like, didn't you just say my name? Or someone? And it would always be a man's voice. It would always be a man's voice. So I was like, and I worked with females, so I was like, I would think that, because my coworkers sometimes, I worked in the bakery was here, and then there was like a bread wall, so it was like shelves. It wasn't really a wall, it was like shelves, but it was like dividing, right? So there would be like this fake wall and then shelves to put the bread, and then when the, like, what are they called, the people, the stockers, the people that stock the shelves and do the thing, whatever, their department is called like just the grocery department. So when the grocery department would be like, oh, the bread is low, they would tell us from that little fake wall, like, hey, Anna, or they would call us, right? So I just kept thinking that it was one of my coworkers, because again, I only heard male voices. So everybody was like, nobody thought anything of it, or maybe they did and they didn't want to tell me, because, you know, I wasn't that close with anyone at this job. So, like, I was, but, like, not to the point of it, like, you know. So they would just be like, Anna, what the fuck? Like, no one said anything. Like, no one said your name. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So then there was one day I was by myself and I was closing. And I literally saw a man. I saw a man. I couldn't see his face. I couldn't see nothing. It was just a shadow of a man. I don't give a fuck. So, I saw this man. It was a shadow. And not a shadow, because it was like dark black. But it had no face. It had nothing. It was just like an outline. And then it was just black like this. Like, so if someone was wearing a mask and you could see the hair, and like he was wearing a coat. Like, I remember this vividly. But all I could see is the outline, and then the whole thing was just black. But again, I didn't get scared. Well, that's a lie. I get scared of anything. Like, I could know you're in the house, but if you like come up and I'm not expecting you, I'll like scream. So what happened was, I was like cleaning. I remember this like so fucking vividly. So I was cleaning the counter and I felt like you know when you see a shadow? So that's what I thought I saw, right? So when I look up, I see the man, the figure, and I was like, ah! And then it disappeared. It disappeared. So that's when I got worried, okay? That's when I got worried. So I was like, oh my God. And my mom used to be very religious. So I'm like, did I just see the devil? Like, what is happening? Like, I don't know what's going on. Is the door locked? Hold on one second. Yeah, the door's locked. Okay. So I'm like, did I see the devil? Like, I don't understand what's happening. At this point, I did not believe in God anymore. So I never really, no, I did when I was really, really young, but like, whatever. Like when I was little, I thought God was like Santa, and if I prayed, I would get what I wanted, and I prayed and prayed and prayed for something, and it never happened, so I lost faith. So that's what happened, and I was very young. I was still living in Mount Vernon. So that was before I moved to Mamaroneck, which I moved to Mamaroneck in 6th grade. So from sometime between 2nd and 6th grade, and it was like years of me praying, and God wasn't taking this pain that I was feeling away. So I stopped believing. I was like, this is bullshit. Kind of like Santa, like the same thing with Santa. Like, I was like, he's not real. Because I'm very like scientifical. I can't speak, so don't judge me. I don't know how I'm in the medical field. I butcher every single word, but I know what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. So like, I need like facts. I need facts given to me, or else I don't believe whatever the fuck you're trying to tell me. Like, I need hardcore facts. Anyway, so I saw this man. I'm like, am I seeing the devil? Like, did I just see the devil? Like, I don't understand. But it wasn't scary or anything. It was a regular man. I remember it till this day. It was a regular man in a jacket. And he had like hair like this, like short hair, but like it stuck out so I can see that he wasn't a female, it was a male. And like, just, you know, the way men are built is just like different than a woman. Like, it was a man. But now that I think of it, anyway. So whatever. So my doctor kept asking me, like, for months, like, are you hearing or seeing things? Are you hearing or seeing things? Are you hearing or seeing things? And I kept saying no, even though I was hearing things. But to me, I always thought it was, you know, because we're humans. Like, sometimes you think someone called your name and they didn't. And it's not because you have a disorder. It's just, it is what it is. Like you know? So I was just like, I kept saying no, 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 because to me it wasn't weird. But when I saw this man, I was like, yes. I finally told him yes. And I let him ask me. I didn't go to him like, I saw a man. Like, because I already knew what the route he was going to go in. And I knew I didn't have that, which is schizophrenia. I knew in my heart, in my soul, that I was not schizophrenic. I still, to be honest, haven't Googled if you can have like hallucinations from being so depressed, but I'm not schizophrenic. So that one incident happened. And when he asked me, I was like, yeah, actually, I saw this man a couple weeks ago. And yeah, I didn't go into detail. He didn't ask me any further questions because for you to be a schizophrenic, it has to be more intense than just what I went through. He didn't ask me questions. He was just like, bet, put me on an antipsychotic. So I was on this antipsychotic with antidepressants that weren't working. So this antipsychotic is very fucking strong. It knocks you out. You don't remember. Like, it knocks you out within an hour. Like, it knocked me out within 30 minutes. I was dead asleep. And, like, nothing could wake me up. Nothing. And I thought it was just who I was. It wasn't. Like, you had to physically drag me out of bed for me to wake up. I couldn't remember things. I wasn't myself. It just dimmed my whole personality. And I was still depressed. So it just wasn't working, right? And I kept telling him, because I look up every medication that I am prescribed because I give a fuck. Like, I'm not just going to be like, okay. Like, I don't do that. So I was like, before I even took it, I was like, why are you giving me an antipsychotic? Like, I'm not psychotic. And he was like, well, this helps with severe depression. So I didn't question it. I was like, okay. And I did see online that this medication paired up with an antidepressant could help depression. So I didn't think much of it. I just did what, as I was told, started taking it. And mind you, at this point, I was taking about 4 medications, okay? At like, by 21, I was already on like 4 medications. So, and still like, I'm like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working, it's not fucking working. Like, I'm still fucking miserable and I'm depressed. Like, I don't understand. Like, I need help. And my therapist, this is the only person I had at the time. My boyfriend was, I don't even want to call him a boyfriend, but that's what the fuck he was. Like, he was just a thing with a penis that was just there. And that, he's one of the reasons why I don't hate men, but like, men make me feel some type of way, because men have done nothing but hurt me in many different ways. And I have yet to meet a man that will care about me and treat me well. Like, I have yet to meet a man that will do that. And I'm talking, and this is like a sex thing, like man versus female, male versus female. I have yet to meet a male that will care about me genuinely and that like be there for me. Like, I haven't had that my whole life. Actually, I'm lying. I have it now, kind of, but I require, and this is a thing about myself, I require so much attention, and it's attention. I require so much attention and love that sometimes people love me, but in my eyes, they don't, because they might be giving their 100%, but I only see like 40, 50%. So then I'm like, they don't really love me. But that's a me problem. That's totally a me problem. That's not a their problem. But anyway. So, I got put on this medication for years. So I was probably on it when I was like, by the time I was 21, I was definitely on it. So, and I just got off at 27. So that's 6 years. So I was being drugged. Okay, let's just say it how it is. I was being drugged for 6 years. Yeah. So we tried antidepressants, like different ones. This, I'm going more into like, now like 21 to 26, let's say. I was trying different meds, nothing was working. And he just kept upping my dose for the antipsychotic. He's like, it's gonna work. Nothing was fucking working. Okay? So let's go back to when I was 24. I think I went to school for, no, 23, 24, when I went to school for medical assistant. So the one drug that gave me not even what I feel now. Like, I thought I was okay on this drug, and I will tell you the name of it because I think it's very important that everybody knows the risks. So I was almost done with my medical assistant certificate, like for school for my certificate. And I graduated, I was supposed to graduate in 2021, the end of 2021. And hold on, 24, 21. So 7, 6, 5. So I was 24 years old. Wow, I'm like so good. So when I was 24, he finally put me on this amazing miracle drug that I thought of at the time, called Wellbutrin. Okay? Wellbutrin. Remember the name. Okay. So I was taking that I started taking it maybe like, because I was super depressed when I started my certificate school. He put me on that like maybe, and my program was only a year long. So he put me on that like maybe 6 months before I graduated. So I was on that medication, and I was still not feeling that great. So when I would, and this is totally my fault, but again, as a medical professional, you should tell people, you should warn people about the side effects of medications. And I stand on that very firmly. Like, you need to tell people like what's happening and what could happen. Because I Googled it, of course, before like I said, before I take any medication, I Google the medication, I see the side effects, whatever. But who the fuck, you know when they say like you could die, but no one, it's like so rare that like you're like, whatever, like I'm still gonna do it. So one of the side effects for this medication was seizures. Okay, seizures. But again, it's like such a serious thing, like stroke, heart attack, whatever, that you're like, oh, it's not gonna happen to me. Like, and it even says it online. It's like a very low percentage of people get that side effect. So you're like, whatever, I'm just gonna do it. So, literally on my last class, I swear to God, it was okay, so we had a 2-part, my last class, like, to take for my certificate was CPR, like the BLS. So you know how to save people if they're, like, dying or dead or whatever. It was a 2-part class. I took day 1, fine. And this is how now that I believe in God, this is how I know he was always there for me the whole time, even when I did not believe. I had this teacher that taught like other classes. I loved her, like the clinical part of it though. So this is what happened. She was a nurse too for like 20, 30 years or something at this point. So she was teaching us like to draw blood, do blood pressure, like everything clinical she taught us. But with the like school stuff, it was always someone else. So for the BLS class, it's always like you have to listen first and then you like do it on a dummy or whatever and show them that you know what to do, that you learned from, like that you learn, like you learn mentally and then they want to see physically if you know how to do what they just fucking taught you. So I'm on the second day, the clinical part of it. Look, so we're like doing it on a dummy, whatever. And no, I don't remember this, but every time you have a seizure, you remember the last thing. It's kind of like when you black out, you remember like the last thing before you black out, and then you'll remember like the first thing you wake up or whatever. So the last thing I remember was, and this is how serious it is, because I don't remember actually even doing CPR on the dummy. I just remember like kneeling, like sitting, kneeling to go do it. And I was like talking to my partner or whatever. Anyway, that's the last thing I remember. So they told me about it afterwards, that like I was doing CPR, mid CPR, I froze and I start seizing, and then I fall, like, you know, I fall over, and my teacher / nurse like fucking helped me. I had gum in my mouth because I didn't know I was gonna have a fucking seizure. I could have choked on that shit. She, love of my life, she didn't want me to die, because you could choke when you have a seizure. She didn't want me to die, and you are not supposed to put your finger inside someone who's seizing's mouth, because they could literally bite your finger off. She took out the gum because she didn't want me to choke on the gum and die from choking. And it's like a 50-50 that I could have died from choking, but she basically took out all the like things that could have like killed me away. So basically with a seizure, there's nothing you could do. You just let the person ride it out. So apparently I had one that lasted like 15-20 minutes. And then I stopped, still blackout, so I don't remember anything. And then I was okay for like another 15-20 minutes. And then I seized again for another 15-20 minutes. So this went on for an hour. She's a nurse. She's worked in the hospital. She knew. She told me when I woke up, she's like, well, not told me, but she was talking to the paramedics, because obviously they called the ambulance. And she was like, she had 2 grand mal seizures. And that's like the worst one you can have. Foaming out the mouth, almost bit my tongue off, the whole works. So I was like, bet. Took me to the hospital. They confirmed that it was the grand mal seizure that I had, 2 of them. I had no brain damage, thank God. Everything was okay. I don't have epilepsy. So they were like, what could it be? So then obviously they had my medical record, like not my medical records. They took my, like when I was like okay, because I've had seizures more than once, or anything, like anytime something really bad happens, I get such bad, I don't know if it's anxiety, or I don't know if it's just like my heart rate goes up. So my heart rate was through the roof, which then they're worried about me having like a heart attack or something, because my heart is beating like 200 like beats per minute, and I'm literally laying there like doing nothing. So it's like, they're worried about my head, now they're worried about my heart, like whatever. And this was the first time ever that I've ever been in a hospital, so I didn't know this was a thing that happened to me until I was then at the hospital 2 other more times, and I'm like, okay, I guess my body just reacts to adrenaline and like trauma this way, like my heart just like goes crazy. Anyway, So everything was okay with my head. They're trying to figure out my heart, whatever. So I got admitted that day. Like I had to stay overnight. I think I stayed for like 2-3 days, like two, 3 nights. Yeah, it was 2 nights, 3 days. So they're like, we don't know why you had a seizure. Even though they had, after I calmed down with my heart, which usually takes a couple hours. Let me not say a couple, because a couple means two, a few hours. So they weren't worried about me anymore. So they were like, what medications are you on, blah, blah, blah. And I told them, and they didn't put 2 and 2 together either. They were like, okay, whatever, like you're fine. Just, you have to see a neurologist because why are you having seizures? They're like, in the test that we ran, they only ran a CT and, yeah, only a CT scan. By the way, I was in a really bad hospital the first time this happened because, and I'm not saying the Bronx is bad. I'm just saying that where my school was, it was in the bad part of the Bronx. So they took me to the nearest hospital, which was a bad Bronx hospital. I don't remember the name, but the care there was just really bad. So they didn't know. They didn't put 2 and 2 together. They're like, you have to go see a neurologist, blah, blah, blah. So I look at my insurance, see, because I know how to do this, see like a decent, like, you know, a good neurologist. And I go see her. She says, you need an MRI. I'm like, okay. She knows my med list again. So she's like, okay. So, but she wanted to see the MRI first. MRI showed the same thing. Like, you don't have anything in your brain, like, that makes you epileptic. You don't have any seizure disorder, none of that. So she dug deeper, and she's like, but you are taking a medication that the side effect of it is seizures. So she's like, I want you to get off of it immediately. And at this point, I even forgot that that was a side effect. Like, or else I would have woken up and been like, it's the Wellbutrin, but I completely forgot. So when she said that, I was like, I looked it up again because I completely forgot. And I was like, oh shit, I was the 1 out of 10 that had the bad side effect happen to me. Like, this is crazy. So, that happened, whatever. Got off of that. Now going back to my mental health journey. That was the only medication that made me feel okay for more than 2 weeks at a time. I was actually okay for like 2 months. No, a month. So I was like, oh my God, this is a miracle drug. And then I would get bad again for a month, and then I would get good again for a month. So I was like, okay, 1 month like is better than being okay for 2 weeks out of like 5-6 months, you know? So I was like, again, if you have a medical background, you can already diagnose me from like what I'm saying. Anyway, so, and at the time I wasn't into mental health, so I was just like, all I knew was that I had depression. Like, that was 100% a fact. I was like, I have depression. So, we go forward. He puts me on another antidepressant. It wasn't working. So, fast forward to last year. Was I 27 already? No, I was 26. So, he put me back on Wellbutrin because 2 years I was miserable, and the only thing that gave me any ounce of relief was the Wellbutrin. So, and if you're a doctor, you can watch this and be like, what the fuck? Because that's what my new psychiatrist said. She was like, why would you ever give someone something that caused them seizures in the first place? And she's like, and I don't blame you, because depression is so bad that like all you wanted was to be okay. And since you didn't die from the seizure, like you're just like, oh, whatever, like I'll just risk it again, which is exactly what I thought. And she pulled the words right out of my head because I didn't even say them. So when he was like, I'm putting you on Wellbutrin, I was like, hooray! Like, I didn't think, I was like, I'm gonna be okay, fine. Like, if I have a seizure, I have a seizure. Like, who gives a fuck? So I got back on Wellbutrin. This time he was really like adamant. He was like, you have to take your medication like close to the same time every day. You have to make sure you take it every day. Don't miss one single dose. I was like, okay. I was doing it literally perfect. So I got hit by a car. No, not in another car. I was literally fucking walking and a car hit me. Whatever. Went to the hospital then. I hit my head really hard. So they were worried about my head. They did all the tests, did MRI, CT, X-ray, everything was fine. So they sent me home. I had a broken thumb. I had bruises everywhere. My head was exploding from pain, and they sent me home. And again, I was there a little longer because my heart rate was through the roof once again. So they were like, we got to check your heart as soon as your heart, like calms down, we can discharge you. You'll be okay, like whatever. So I went home. Everything's good. A month later, taking my medication every single day at around the same time, okay? Didn't fuck up one time because at that point, the second time around, first of all, I was so scared to have another seizure. Yes, I agreed to take the risk, but like I even researched like how to prevent yourself from having a seizure from this medication, and it's like you gotta be like on top of it, whatever. I was doing everything 100% perfect. A month later, I had another one. Yay! So went to the hospital back in 2021, the end of 2021. And then 2023 got hit by a car. I don't even like saying accident because then people think it's just like, oh boom, like no bitch, like it was like wee, like that, you know. Like I went flying, my dog died, whatever, you know. So, and again, I say it like this because I don't want to cry, so I just talk about it like it's fine, it's okay, like everything's fine. So anyway, that happens. Go to the hospital, my heart's through the roof, blah, 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 blah. Come back a month later, have a seizure. So this time around, I was educated. So I was like, I told the paramedics everything. I was like, I'm on Wellbutrin. It's given me 2 seizures before. I just got hit by a car a month ago. So I don't know if it's the medication or if it's my brain from the injury and I had like a later reaction to it. I don't know. Maybe a combination of the two, which that's what it ended up being. I was like, I don't know, like, but this is my history, because when I like got to it, like I already knew everything. I was like, they were like, you had a seizure, and I was like, bet, this is all the events that happened to see what's wrong. So, and I was kind of annoyed the third time around being in the hospital. I didn't even want to go in an ambulance. I'm like, why am I going to pay all this money to go in an ambulance if I know I don't have epilepsy, like it's something else? I was like, I'll just go with my neurologist. They're like, I really think you should go. I was with my friends, and my best friend actually, and she's in the medical field. She's like, I really think you should go. And I'm like, okay, they're just gonna tell me nothing's wrong. She's like, yeah, but maybe something happened from the accident. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go then. So I went, nothing was fucking wrong. Again, talked to a neurologist. So I did. Like I said, it was a combination of both things and seizure. So we got off Wellbutrin for the second time. And at that point, I was like, I don't even want to risk it anymore. I was like, let's try. So, I had a mental breakdown. And same best friend that was with me when I had the seizure, she was like, and I'm not taking it away from her. She's been saying this. My mom was saying this, like, you need a new psychiatrist. But I'm 27 at this point. I started with him when I was 19. I've been with him for 8 years. And I'm the type of person who doesn't give up on people, and that's another bad trait that I have. I don't give up on people. So I'm like, no, he's gonna fix it. And at this point, I was so bad that my friend didn't even listen to me. She went on her phone herself, looked at my insurance, found a provider, looked at their reviews, asked me what age range. She like asked me all the questions. She's like, what age range do you want the doctor to be in? And I'm like, older than me, but not too old where they like don't get what's going on in this century. She's like, okay, bet. She's like, looked at the reviews, looked at her her rating. She was like, okay, and looked at like what company she worked for. I'm like, okay, this is the one. So I made an appointment with her, bitch. She had so much to fucking say about my old psychiatrist. So much to say. So much to say. I've only started seeing her. Oh, it's raining. I only started seeing her this year, 2024, starting in May, the beginning of May. So what she did was she took me off of basically all my medications except one of them. And from the evaluation, she was like, you have bipolar. And if you don't treat the bipolar, you're gonna keep getting depressed because your depression is from the bipolar disorder. So we need to fix the problem, not just the symptom. Because the symptom of me being bipolar was the depression. So she's like, we need to treat the whole problem, not just the symptom. Which she couldn't have said it more perfectly. I was like, okay. And I even told her, I was like, years ago when I was 19, my therapist told me, I think you have bipolar 2. And I'm like, 19, I didn't know anything about mental health. I was like, I'm not bipolar, I'm not crazy. Because, you know, like, you believe what other people say. So I'm like, I'm not crazy, like, I'm just depressed, like, blah, blah. I went off on her, and she was like, okay, no problem, just think about it, research it. I never researched it. Well, I did years later, but I was like, no, I'm not crazy, like, blah, blah. I was in denial. So she officially diagnosed me with bipolar, gave me medications for bipolar, and because my depression's so bad, I also have an antidepressant that I take as well, so I'm on 2 medications. At one point with my other doctor, I was taking the highest amount of medications I've ever taken because he didn't even know what was wrong with me. He was treating me for ADHD. He treated me for everything in the book besides what was actually wrong with me. So she took me off of, I had to wean off the antipsychotic because, again, I was still taking that disgusting, like, it's not even a bad, like, it's an amazing drug for people who actually have schizophrenia, but I don't. So I just hate that medication because of how it made me, like, because I didn't even realize I was being drugged until I got off of it. And I was like, wow, I actually have energy? Wow, I actually have a personality? Like, I was like, I'm the same person I was at 16, 17? Like, this is wild. That was the last time I was ever okay, was when I was 16, 17, and I just got okay again now. So 10 years of my life, I've been battling with bipolar, not knowing, getting treated for everything else besides what I was actually wrong, and I was not myself for 10 years. I was not myself for 10 years. And for 6 of those years, I was literally being drugged. So yeah, like, she didn't fix me. Like, it's a work in progress. No medication can fix you. But she made me okay again. I'm a normal human. I want to cry right now. I'm a normal human being. I have feelings. I go through things. I can love people. I have emotions. For 6 years of my life, I had no emotions besides depression. And that's not even an emotion. That's like a thing. Like now I get happy, I get angry, I get irritated, I get mad, I get sad, I get excited. Like, I'm an actual human being. And I think my mom, my best friend, my new psychiatrist, but specifically my mom and my best friend, because without them, I would have never found my psychiatrist. my new one. And without her, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm a very loyal bitch. Like, if you do me right, I'm gonna do you 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better. But that's my little mental health journey. Don't give up. Go to somewhere good, even if you have to pay the money for it. It's worth it in the end. Like, it's so worth it. Like, everything. Being happy, like genuinely happy, is a gift that can't be bought. It's worth everything. It's worth absolutely everything. From a person who was so fucked up for 10 years. I was fucked up not my whole adulthood, because now I have like long ways to go, but my whole end of my teens until I'm almost 30. I'm just going to say 20s. My whole 20s were ruined. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. And that's my